This is Papa Shorty, aka DJ Shorty, straight out of Jamaica, inside Denmark, Copenhagen. Been here for good 25 years now, doing music and working otherwise, getting in touch with people from all different roots, all different backgrounds, and I learned a lot over those 25 years about the African continent, because being in Jamaica, I never get to meet anybody but Jamaicans themselves. About people who call themselves Jamaicans. Of course, we're Africans, but now I came to Europe. Over those years, I get to meet people who are born actually on the continent, and we talk and we talk and we talk, and then I get to realize that many of their childhood experiences are 100% the same as mine. So it's like Jamaica or the Caribbean on a whole is like a home away from home. So that experience I get where I talk with people who were born in that environment, and I compare and I see it's exactly the same, and it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
Why did you choose to be in Denmark?
Oh, it's just a coincidence, it's just a random random drop, I just left Jamaica, my first chance to travel, and I just end up here. I could have been anywhere else in the world, but it's just here. If I went to America, it would have been why America, or if I went to the UK, it would have been the same. So it's just here, and this is a very quiet place. When I first started DJing in Denmark from 25 years ago, it was very challenging. I almost gave up along the way because I decided to play music that I can relate to, and not just those mainstream music that everybody else is playing. I wanted to do something different, something that I can feel when I put it out, So it was so challenging, and I hung on to it, and I managed to build a crowd little by little. I built everything from scratch, together with the rest of the crew. I'm not just alone in this, There's a crew called Sky Juice, and we built everything from scratch. When we had we would keep parties 20 people showing up, and we didn't give up. And then today, people follow me. So I feel like I set the trend and people follow me. The music I play is black music, strictly black music. And in those days, in the 90s, the black population was not so huge. So you would find a few people from the west side of Africa, Gambia to be specific. They would come, and they would bring their girlfriends who were Europeans, some of them, and they would bring their friends, and it built from there, and it get bigger and bigger and bigger. And some of our artists based in Jamaica, they managed to push a few mainstream songs out so people get to know them, and people say, oh yeah, I know that song, and I play the songs in the clubs or at concerts, and people just get into it. And today it's boom, it's very big today, and I can thank myself and my crew for the hard work that we put into this. Yeah, and I see a lot of Danish guys copying now, and they're trying to do what we started, which is a good thing, It's a good thing in a way, yeah.
When you say you play black music, which kind of black music is that you're talking about?
In the 90s, I was only my knowledge of black music was only it was very limited to reggae, dancehall, soca. But today, I spread. It's gone into Afrobeat, and when I say Afro music, it's not just from Nigeria; it's the entire continent, the entire continent. So, black music. I try not to touch hip hop so much back then because it was too easy. Everybody was doing that because it gets so much commercial. So everybody was doing hip hop. It was that's what the Danish DJs were doing, and it was everywhere. So I try not to do that so much. Hip hop and soul R&B, those were MTV music. MTV was a big thing then. So those things I try not to do. I like to be underground, and bring things from the bottom to the top. So black music then was reggae for me, because these are popular African music that we have today. They were not, they were deep underground in this section of the world. So I didn't know them. So I stick to the thing that I knew very well and the thing that I could master. And that was mostly reggae dancehall.
You always said the Danish music.
Danish music. Danish music, that's like something new for me. I'm more the rhythmic kind of person, you know. I like music with rhythm, and the Danish music has no rhythm in it, and so it's not a big pick for me. I like Caribbean music, African music, you know, music that has rhythm in it, you know. And I mean, Danish music. When I say Danish music, I mean European music in general. You know, it's not really my taste. So, I stick to the music that is a part of my roots with a lot of rhythm in it. Mm-hmm. And when I play out as a DJ, I try to play the music with rhythm, and that's what sells also.
We tried to do things different because we were not really, I mean, I'm still not a discotheque kind of DJ, you know. I'm mostly like a party kind, you know. We arranged our own parties. We would rent places and arrange our own parties, and we also do shows, live shows that we bring artists from Jamaica and Africa, and we just make it an event for that night where we would have live DJ. We would have DJs playing before the live show, and that's where I would come in. So actually, I warm up for every artist you can think of.
Yeah, which can you just give me some names of those artists you already warm up?
I mean, where should I start now? Some of my very first artists that I warm up for was like people like Shaggy, people like Apache Indian, that is he Pakistani or Indian? I'm not even sure, but he's from the UK doing dancehall music back then in the 90s. I mean, I started from the 90s, and people like Beanie Man, Buju Banton, Yellow Man. I'm just thinking the names are just coming out as I go along, you know. Burning Spear, Culture, Don Carlos. Did I say Buju Banton, Elephant Man? I cannot even remember some of the names. And African artists like Angelique Kidjo, Manu Dibango, Lucky Dube, Alpha Blondie, and I don't remember.
He was here already. Probably also warm up for them, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel when you open up for the big names?
It's a joy, you know. It's a joy. It's always been a joy to do that, you know. It's an honor for me to share the same stage with some of those names. Unfortunately, some of those people pass away. They're not with us anymore, and I really cherish the moments I spent backstage with them, talking with them. You know, it's always been a joy for me to be a part of the event, and that's why I don't really do clubs. I would do like concerts. I played on the biggest concert, the Roskilde Festival. I played like 3 years in a row there, and it's also an experience. You know, I've been to Sweden, playing big festivals there. We do big concerts there. Did I mention Jimmy Cliff also? No, the names are just coming out. Aswad.
So you are that kind of person who goes there promoting black music.
Black music,
said,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I used to call the music Fubu music, for us, by us, you know, and it's a cultural thing for me. It's like spreading the roots, because I feel like I'm giving something to the younger generation coming up, because the music that I used to play back in the days, you know, it was a message. It's not exactly the same today. I can't say the same for the music today, but back then it was a message. It was a big message in the music coming out, you know, and people used to get from it, and especially my Gambian friends. They're really
You talk a lot
digging
about
their.
the Gambian friends. What do you relate to Gambians?
Well, I mean, it's no secret. Gambia is in the west, where where the slaves were taken from. Apparently, on the west coast there, you know, and that's where Senegal is. In those days, there was no Gambia, of course, but I feel connected to the west side of Africa more. I can relate to the west side, especially in Sierra Leone, you know, because they have a language that is 90% or even more than 90% similar to our Jamaican patois, and it's called Creole. And I can just fit the pieces together that they have the same history as we did, because our language in Jamaica is like a collection of different tongues in the West African region there, mixed with English, and that's how we get our tongue in Jamaica, patois, and that's what Creole is also. So I can relate to the West Africa. Not that I cannot relate to the entire continent, but the West, I feel the West more. And the Gambian side there, it's like the part I feel most. I think patois is the happiest language in the world, man.
Why?
Yeah, because of the way we just swing it and the way we just make up words, and I mean, it's just there's no way you cannot speak patois in a sad way, you know. Every word come out is just happy, you know.
How this song came about?
Patois. It sounds French, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know the history behind the name of it, because it is also called Creole, you know, which is English Creole. You have French Creole and English Creole. So, Patois, because it's spelled like French, Patois, you know, and that is not a way of spelling a Jamaican patois. If you should spell patois in patois way, it would be Patwa, you know, and that would be patois, just like it sounds. And this French name, I don't know where it came from.
But when you guys grew up in Jamaica, people are obliged to speak this patois at home, at school, at work. I mean, how does it work?
We are obliged to speak standard English in school. I mean, that's it. That's the only written language we have. Patois is just street language. It's a slang, as I would call it, which is a shame, because that's us. That's what connects us to the continent, you know. Mm-hmm. That's what connects us to the motherland, you know. And we pick up this English tongue, and we were forced to speak it just because of the slave masters back then could not take the fact that the slaves, I hate to call my people slaves, well, they could not take the fact that they were speaking things that they couldn't understand. So they say, hey, you have to speak English. So they teach them how to speak English, and that's why the English was mixed into the language that they were speaking, which is the West African tongues put together, you know, and the English was blended into it, and it became dominant in it, you know, because it's like 75 or more % English, and the rest is still real African words.
Okay.
How do you feel when you dressed up in these colors, green, yellow, and black?
I love that question. That's a nice question. I am apparently I'm very patriotic, you know. So I am a very proud Jamaican. So I just represent Jamaica everywhere I go, and I'm so proud to tell everybody that I'm a Jamaican. So I try to show it, and not just in clothes, you know, but my spirit. You know, I deliver that spirit, that Jamaican spirit, even my motions when I walk. You know, that's typical Jamaican. So people can actually see it right away and know that I'm a Jamaican, and I love that.
What does it represent, these colors, in a way?
Okay, the black represents the skin, the color of the skin, and the green is for the nature, and the yellow is for the sunshine. And as a Rasta now, we put the red in that, which is for the blood that's shed among our African people, and that's a whole other story. black, the green, and the yellow represents the skin color of the population, which is 98% of the Jamaican population. Other people might have other opinions about that because the Chinese are slowly coming in now. So the yellow does not represent Chinese. So the yellow is the sunshine, like I said before, and the green is for the nature. And that's very beautiful there, man.
When it comes to how do you call it, to reggae music, the many people don't know about reggae music, or if they do, they misinterpret it. What would you like to tell those who don't know about the reggae music?
Well, I can tell people that reggae music is a lot. It goes a lot deeper than Bob Marley and Burning Spear and Peter Tosh. You know, it goes a lot deeper than that. Those names help to surface the music, but reggae music is coming from way back, from before there was even instruments, and it started as a rebellious kind of tongue from the Africa, the runaways. Actually, before it was reggae music, it started out as ska, and then it was rock steady, and there's those two genres. They are still there today, but the rhythm just get slower. Ska was very fast, and the rock steady was somewhere in between reggae and ska. And reggae now is just the tempo that we work with for all these years now. So reggae music is coming from those days when the runaway slaves, they used to rebel and they chanted. You know, us Africans, we love to sing, you know, and we love to use word powers and so on. Rastaman are the people that invented this tradition of music, you know, where they would sing their sorrows out in words, you know, on a rhythm, you know. It's kind of like blues. That's what blues is also, you know. And so that was just a Jamaican version of that. So reggae music is a message, and the people who did reggae music in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s, some still do today, they send out messages. And a lot of people, because reggae music gets so commercialized now, a lot of people jump on the wagon, you know. It's like the opportunists come and they put their thing in it and they mix it with all kind of things, and suddenly there's no message in it and there's all kind of things in it. But to me, that's not really reggae, you know. Reggae has to have some message in it.
And you said like you like more the roots reggae. This is the term you call what is
Yeah. Roots, yeah.
Reggae from the roots? What is that?
Roots, I mean, roots reggae is the kind of reggae music that you would be telling you about your roots, and that's where the roots come in, because it would be on a very slow rhythm, so you don't have to be dancing and losing yourself. You just relax and listen to the words. So that's the whole point in it being so slow. So you listen to the words and understand it, because it can be very deep, you know. And they would tell you about Africa, they would tell you about how the slave masters used to treat us, and they will tell you about the struggles that we've been through and we're still going through, and all of that. And they tell you about, yeah, like I said before, Africa, the motherland, and they tell you about Jamaica and peace and love and unity, and black people should come as one, and you know, all those things, you know, and that is roots.
How do you call it, as we are talking about now, this point here, what do you put the Rastafarians? Politicians or activists?
None of the above. Rastafarians are...
Because they talk a lot about this inequality, right? They talk about things to go right. So how do you characterize?
I mean, if... I would more say activists than politicians, because Rasta and politics, I mean, politricks as we would call it, you know, Rasta don't get into those politics things, you know. So we just look for the truth, and we search for solidarity, we search for rights and justice, equal rights and justice for all, you know, we search for that, and we try to bring that out, and we talk a lot about that, and we will always fight against injustice and things that are unbalanced in society. We will always talk about that, against that. So yeah, we can be called activists, yes.
Now we know that there's, many problems in this world, and the Rasta, through their music, have been going on telling the world, we have to stop this, we have to be united, and things like that. So, what do you think is the problem? Let's say we not just talk about the world itself, but let's say the black world, the black countries, Africa in particular, or other Caribbean countries where most blacks are.
Yeah, I think our main problem as a black nation, as a black society, is the lack of unity. We don't know how to unite. We don't know how to be as one, and that creates a lot of misunderstanding among ourselves, where we over here are doing one thing and another set over there is doing another thing, and instead of both set meet in the middle and do the same thing, and unity is strength. That's what Rasta is saying. That's what Rasta have been saying all this time, and we lack that unity among ourselves. So that is the main problem. Until the day when we find out how to unite and love each other, you know, then we're always gonna be having problems.
But now we talk about let's say 50, 60 years after the first country to be decolonized, gain independence. We talk about Ghana, but still we are not that thinking of being united. We're still fighting among ourselves. And where do we go? When do we think that we getting there in order to be united?
Here comes the gruesome truth now. You know, we black people, we have this slave mentality in us. You know, we don't believe in ourselves, and we don't think that we can do anything without the white man involved in it. So we just sit back and just wait for something to happen. We don't get creative, and we don't do stuff that can uplift ourselves and others among us. You know, we don't do that. So I think that is the problem. We lack a lot of knowledge. Self-confidence and all of that, because we have all the resources on our continent. That's where the white man come and take it from to bring to Europe, because they have nothing here. All this stuff they have here come from our continent, and the same thing that they use it for in Europe. If we just think and find a way how to utilize those same resources there for ourselves, then we could build our continent, instead of letting the white man come and rip and run off on us, and then we stay down there and they elevate themselves, and we fight each other and they build themselves, and all of that, you know. So we need to get around that problem there, you know. Like I said in the beginning, it's a slave mentality, you know. We don't believe in ourselves enough.
As a Rasta man, do you ever, or do you believe in the continent? Do you ever had a chance to travel to Africa?
That's on my list, actually. I can't say I don't have the chance, because if I can travel other places, I can travel to Africa also. But I haven't done that yet. But I'm definitely gonna do that. I need to do that. And there are places that I need to see on the continent. And I need to see the Mecca. You know, that's in Ethiopia. I need to be in Addis Ababa. I need to see West Africa. I need to see East Africa. I'm not so crazy about North Africa. That's a whole nother story.
Right.
Yeah. In South Africa, I am not so crazy about down south, because to me that's Europe, you know. So that's also another story. But Central, East, and West, I need to take like a 3 months off work and go and travel around and see, meet and greet my people, you know. I need to do that. And I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's on my list.
Okay. And I think last time I asked you as well, but what do you think about Rastafarians in general think about the continent?
Real Rastafarians, they will know that that is home. And actually, right as we speak, there are like a whole community of Jamaicans in Ethiopia. There is a community there where Jamaicans and other Caribbean Rastas are, and they're quite comfortable. They feel at home. I mean, the government give them land, and they're quite comfortable there, more comfortable than they would be anywhere else in the world, and it's working out for them. So Rastas and Africa, there's a bond there, there's a connection there. Real Rastas, that is.
Is that how it is?
This locks, I've had this for what, some 20 years now, and it's hard work in the beginning for
Can I have a look?
couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. This is a free flowing Rasta. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to get it started, but once it's started, then it just grows naturally. I don't put chemical in it, and I use coconut oil. In the beginning, I used beeswax, 100% beeswax, and now I use coconut oil, or sometimes I use olive oil, but none of those fancy chemicals that people use. So, because this is real Afro here, so I don't need all that stuff to make it stay. I just twist it and that's it.
So now it's look at the real lion. For you, what does it represent, the dreads?
The dreadlocks is actually the identity of a Rastafarian. It's not everybody with dreadlocks is a Rasta, and not every Rasta has dreadlocks. So this area just it's like your ID. It's like it's just the identification that you are in that particular group. And this is another thing that makes me very popular around, because people look at me going down the street, hey, you're a Jamaican. I say, how did you know?
As a Jamaican, I don't want to leave you without ask you this question about Marcus Garvey. How much do you know about him as a Jamaican, and then what do you think the ideology that Marcus Garvey had towards and all the people?
Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I don't think that enough people knows enough about Marcus Garvey, and mainly because enough people don't read about Marcus Garvey. So Marcus Garvey plays a very, very vital role in the Rastafarian community, in the Rastafarian world, because that's the inspiration, and his words, he was also a prophet, he prophesied things, and back in the days, there was this thing about bringing all the Africans back to Africa, and there was this ship that was, it was just into discussion about building a big ship called the Black Star Liner that would take all Africans back to Africa. And unfortunately, it didn't come true. I don't know if it's unfortunate, but many Jamaicans are happy with where they are. But Marcus Garvey was working together with Martin Luther King, and they were uplifting, they were inspiring the black communities, not just in Jamaica, but the rest of the world, because they traveled all over the world and they preached. He was also a preacher, and he inspired a lot of us, a lot of people. And the thing is, there are many books out there and people just don't read them. because there is a lot to know about Marcus Garvey. I myself don't know the 100% of it, but you know, talking with people, you know, you learn more every day. Marcus Garvey is a true inspiration to the black communities, not just for, even for Rasta, for the entire black population. And he's also marked as a national hero in Jamaica. He's one of the national heroes in Jamaica. So Marcus Garvey is very important in our roots and our culture and our history as Jamaicans.
All the friends that I'm talking to, when it comes to them, they say they don't relax in Europe, or there's no way people are relaxing. Even the European cannot relax in Europe. Your experience, why is that?
But I mean, it's a naked truth. There is no relaxation for us here because, first of all, if you don't have something to keep you going, you're gonna die in 5 years after you retire. You know, because you're gonna bore yourself to death. That's the first thing. But in your own country, your own continent, among your own people, then you have lots of things to do. You know, you can you can do stuff around you. I mean, here you're just gonna sit down and just look with nothing to do. And that's not relaxation. Even though you're not doing anything, you're still not relaxing because your mind is not stable. Your mind is not relaxed. If your mind is not relaxed, the body cannot relax either. And this environment does not create relaxation because there's always some kind of stress going on among us. You know, you face all kind of prejudice and all kind of things, and it's just pure stress, pure stress. So if you want peace of mind, you have to be in a peaceful place. So I think that Europe is not a bed of roses, just like we thought before we came here. And I think that we are spoiling it. We are making it bad. We are creating a bad image. We are sending bad image back home to our people that things are so nice here, things are fine, because this is like a concrete jungle, you know. I mean, all of these things, all of these man-made environment, you know, it's killing us too, you know, because a lot of the materials that they use to build these things, you know, they make us sick anyway, you know, and all the trees you see around us, they are fake. They might look like real trees, but they were not planted by Mother Nature. They're in a straight line. All the leaves, all the trees have exactly the same amount of leaves on them and the same height. I mean, that's not nature. I go by the lake in the parks and I see all the birds there. You ever hear this saying about free like birds? Birds are not free here either. Not even the birds are, because if you see them, take a good look at them. They all have a tag on their foot, you know. They all have tags on their foot with numbers on them. I mean, they were not born like that. So they are controlled and they are injected. They have a microchip probably. So this fake world that we live in and think that it's a paradise, it's not. Paradise is what we run away from. And that's what I realized, like very shortly after I came here, that I gave up paradise for I don't know what, because this is not paradise. This is stress. This is killing us. This forces us to get up in the middle of the night in the snow. I mean, all this change of weather condition and all of this push us out there to go and kill ourselves, and we are not happy. If we say we are happy, we are lying to ourselves. So this is fake. So paradise is what we run away from. So I would advise my brothers and sisters, make the best of what they have their own, because there are many of us who want to go back home away from this. But there's a little thing that man also created that is the root of all evil, and that is the money, and that's what we're trying to get, and that's what's killing us. So in the end, is it really worth it? I don't think so. So I would rather to be very poor and happy in my own environment with less pollution in the air and all of that, and than to live in. I think I have things that I don't really have anyways, and then the environment is not good. It's not even healthy, both mentally and physically. So So I advise all my brothers and sisters to stay. Don't come, because we're trying to get back home. So just stay there. It's not about the money. We're not even making the money, because they give us the money and they take it back anyway. They find a way to take it back from us anyway. So it's not worth it. We just try to get more, and some of us have 3-4 jobs just to make 2 ends meet, and it's not worth it, you know. It's not worth it. We can never be happy here. We will always have something bothering us that the society creates, put there deliberately to make us unhappy. So make the best of what you have at home. And this is not our home, and it never will be.